Well, we did the first video addressing greed. Now we are going to touch, some sensitive topics today. If this offends you in any way, I ask that you please pass this video by, because this video is for the truthfully intelligent people who want to know about the world. From somebody who is both youthful and has learned a lot despite being so young. So, first off, it doesn't matter what political party you follow. It doesn't. I don't care if you are red or blue. That is your choice. That is your choice. I do not care if you are Native American, whatever you may be. African, whatever. Asian, whatever you be. Or decide you believe you are to be. Or identify as would be a more appropriate term. I do not care, about your religious practice. I don't care what you do, with your time. It is your life. If you are an adult, then you are capable of making those decisions. Simple. Racism, religious wars, bigotry, all those things, stupid. Literally stupid. If you hate somebody because of their skin color or the way they look, you're retarded. Simple. If you hate somebody because they have a disability, like Down syndrome or autism, whatever, you're a piece of shit. Seriously. And if you hate somebody because of their religious beliefs, well, guessed it. You're a piece of shit. Yeah. If you hate somebody because of the way they dress or, whatever it is they choose to do with their life, as an adult, you're a piece of shit. If you bully the weak and, fight against others who can't fight to defend themselves, congratulations. You are not a alpha male, nor are you a sigma male. You are actually a beta male. A real man fights for those who cannot defend themselves. A real man protects the weak. A real man can have his masculinity. Strong and mighty, fighter. But even a strong person knows that there is a time to be strong and a time to open your heart and be soft. That is real manliness. Yeah. Real manliness is defending the weak, the persecuted, and those who cannot fend for themselves. It doesn't matter what religion that person is that you are defending, or their disability, or what they believe in. It does not matter. As a man, you are to protect the weak. It is not wrong for a man to cry. In fact, if you can't cry as a man, you're actually probably the least manly person I know. I would rather have, one of my friends come up to me and cry that life sucks than in a week have to walk down an aisle carrying their casket. See, y'all get these dumb TikTok reels and shit in your head like, yeah, I'm that motherfucker. Yeah, well, unfortunately, talk is a pretty cheap check to cash. Anybody can say they're going to do something. But everybody says, I'll do this, I'll do that. They never do it. You could have all the fame in the world, everything. But if money and possessions where you find happiness, you'll always be poor. You'll always be searching for something to fill that void. Why do you think all these rappers need drugs, pills, and shit? Some of them have mental health. Some of them got everything they wanted and realized that they actually have nothing at all. But they go to their bandmates or whatever and they say, oh yeah, man, I'm kicking it. I'm cool. I'm the real deal. Whatever. Catch them alone if you can. You'll notice, if you really pay attention, if you are their friend and care about them, that they may be, before your eyes, slipping through the cracks in life. Yeah. Defend those who are weak. Defend the persecuted. Defend those who need you. If somebody helps you when you're struggling, you should pay it forward. I'm sure y'all are familiar with that movie. It really is a beautiful movie. It truthfully is. I encourage you to find that movie and watch it. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's what the movie is called. Just Pay It Forward. Where a young kid had the smartest IQ out of everybody in the entire planet. The Just Pay It Forward system. That is just pure peak intelligence right there. Seriously. That was one of the greatest films I have seen. Y'all listen to a lot of hard rock musicians, like Ozzy Osbourne. Yeah, Ozzy Osbourne's actually anti-war. In fact, when he wrote the song, Dreamer, he actually says, when will all this hate, this bigotry and all that just stop? When will it stop? Seriously. Just because you can beat somebody's ass doesn't mean you're strong. It doesn't. Just because you can shoot somebody doesn't make you strong. Doesn't. It doesn't. Defend your family and those closest to you above all else. But when you see the weak, the persecuted, the defenseless out there, don't just pass them by. Defend them. Protect them. Never be afraid to cry. Never. I'm sorry. But not being able to cry, well, that shows that, if you can't cry in front of your so-called friends that are your brothers or whatever, or your family, or your partner, or whatever, that shows that you don't have as deep as a connection with them where you can just let go. When it comes to brothers, in the friend group and family and whatever, you're not supposed to be on high alert 24/7. You're supposed to open up your heart to them. If you love them, why keep the door closed? Yeah, I'll admit it. There's some people, you open up to them and they say, things like, oh, you're just being a baby and whatever. I hope you know, because you had the courage to open up to them, even if they rejected you. You showed you had more emotional strength than they ever could possess. Physical strength, mental strength, and mastery of the mind, body, and soul. When you have those all mastered, you truthfully realize that everything isn't what it seems. You look through the world through a different lens. So next time you see somebody going through hell, why don't you take off your glasses, put on theirs, and try to see the world from their point of view, besides, your beliefs. And you know what? It's true. Inevitably, you can never, ever truthfully see eye to eye with somebody. But sitting on social media, bitching, gets you nowhere. Activism is not a Twitter post. It is not a meme on the internet. It is none of that. Posting a picture with words on the internet accomplishes nothing. Hatred, nothing. Material possessions, nothing. Welcome. You are the mass majority. You are still in the box. Let go. Why don't you ever call that friend, that you haven't talked to in a while? Why do you wait for them to reach out to you? Check on your friends. Check on your family. See if they're okay. Maybe just chat about your day. Sometimes all it takes is a kind word from a stranger, even a stranger, to make somebody's day smile. Anyways, I've talked quite some time. All I ask is that you consider the statements I've made, and that, you just consider them, You don't have to see eye to eye with me on anything, and that's okay. I'm not going to force you. If you don't like the factor that I wear the rebel flag hoodie, well, that's okay. I understand that I was raised differently with a different perspective. And I understand you have a different understanding of that perspective, and that is okay. You are entitled to that opinion. And it is protected by the First Amendment. And always will be protected by the First Amendment. Always. Anyways, y'all, I hope every person on this planet right now, regardless if you even see the video or not, whatever. I hope that every person in this entire world, I hope that today and this week feels like you just won yourself the lottery. You're just so high in life. Maybe you don't need the blunt that day. Maybe you don't need to hit the bottle today. Everything just clicks into place for you. And I hope all that finds you. I really do. I hope that you all have the greatest week ever. And I hope that you always make the best out of situations and the best out of anything that comes your way. Doesn't matter what they told you. It doesn't matter where you came from, be you the country, the hood, the suburbs. You are a human being. You deserve respect. It doesn't matter if you identify as whatever the fuck. It doesn't matter what you do in your, time. And it's nobody else's business either. The point is, we are people. If I take a razor and I cut, right? Careful, this work is dangerous here. YouTube, don't censor me. What color comes out? Red. Every human bleeds the same shade of red. Doesn't matter if they're trans or whatever. It doesn't matter if they're black. It doesn't matter if they're Asian. Either way, we all have one thing in common. And that is, we're people just trying to survive. For a bonus, we all bleed the same shade of red at the end of the day. We're just people just trying to survive. And instead of putting others down like a bunch of assholes, why not build them up? You see all these YouTubers and all them taking videos of, them doing good deeds. It's all staged. I personally don't believe any of it. And if you were going to do that because you actually cared, why would you record it? Because people see that you are trying to show off that you're a good person by, on YouTube or TikTok, buying somebody's groceries or whatever. I bet you're probably the most toxic person in real life. And there's somebody that I want nothing to do with. I understand you believe there's a hustle or whatever. But, I record a lot of things. I'll admit, I could record a bunch of shit daily. And believe it or not, only half of it gets posted. These are all raw script. No edit, nothing. Raw scripted. Straight from the dome, straight from the heart, whatever. Because raw recording is raw energy. You get to see in one take, what was really going through their mind, their heart, their soul at that moment. It's not rehearsed. It comes straight from the heart, the soul. What you're really feeling and thinking. Anyways, folks, I hope that you all have the greatest day of your lives. May you, your friends, your family, everyone on this whole planet have the greatest day of their life. And I sincerely mean that. It's okay if you doubt me. Just know that that's what I mean. I may not know you, but I'm grateful that you're on this earth, because I know there's something you're doing that's making somebody's life unforgettable. Have the most wonderful week and day. And I hope that whatever belief system that you follow, it brings you abundance and blessings upon you and everyone in your corner, whether it be family, friends, whatever. This is your pal Little Bear, and I wish you all the most fantastic day of your entire lives. Blessed be.